Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with Ray Jones. He has just released a fantastic new track called Another Song, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. Ray, I want to sincerely thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm great, Austin.
What's
Thank you.
news?
Yeah,
What's news in your part of the world?
it's warming up. We're coming
Yeah,
out we're coming out of winter now, so um, we're just sort of in spring, and the days are getting warmer. It's been a long, cold winter, and not as like for you guys, for your standard of cold, it's probably
well,
some,
I'm in Los Angeles, so I never experience cold over here. It's always
yeah,
blazing hot to some degree.
yeah,
Especially today is a scorcher for sure. but
yeah. We
besides
have
that,
we do
though,
that here.
yeah, we don't need to talk about the weather. We need to talk about this song. It is
Music.
it is wonderful. The first thing that I'd really love to know is what is it about? What inspired you creating this specific song?
It's such a good story with this song. During the COVID lockdowns, as you know, we all went through that. And as artists, we started to do online streaming, little
Yeah,
maybe half-hour concerts and stuff like that that you'd stream. And I was really reluctant to do it for a long time, and I really didn't want to do anything within that COVID period. But I just put an album out.
right.
4 weeks before COVID hit, which you guys reviewed that album. COVID hit, and I'd done one tour, and it was all over. So
Terrible
I was
timing.
kind of bummed, and I didn't really know what to do. And in the end, I went, you know what, I'm going to do one of these live streams, and I'll get into it. So I did, and I had heaps, thousands of people tune in, which was really cool.
Amazing.
And and
And
and
really, the
places,
internet is such a powerful place to bring people
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got new followers in Poland after that, and stuff like
that's
that.
awesome.
But a good friend of mine that lives in the sort of like the goldfields or the northeast of us, probably about 7 or 8 hours away. They tuned in and they had like a COVID party where all the neighbours were over the fence and they had it on a big screen TV, and it was
Wow.
really. But the next day, my friend texted me and he said, is there any chance that you could write a happy song, something, a feel good song or whatever? And I didn't know how to react. I didn't even answer him. I certainly wasn't offended, but I was like, man, you don't get it. Like we write what comes to us, and we write what's in our heart,
Exactly.
or what's affecting us at the time, or what I've observed, or something like that. And coming out of that period of writing that album, it's a very personal album, and it and I unloaded it, an enormous amount of pain in that album, which was good.
Exactly.
It was very healthy. Um, so I stewed on it for a few days. Like would he ask me to write, something specific to him, that he wants, and then it came to me, and like, and the opening lines of the song, I'll be damned if I can write another song just as good as the one before you came along, you know, um,
I
and
agree.
it's a tongue in cheek sort of thing, and it's a, I guess, from an artist's point of view and a songwriter's point of view, trying to explain to the listener that sometimes we aren't even in control of this stuff. It
Yes.
comes to us, and it haunts you. Certainly haunts me in my sleep. I wake up, I write songs out of sleep, um, and then that perspective of what it's like being on stage delivering that, a bird on a wire, and feeling like a bird on a wire, and always under scrutiny, and that sort of thing, and the travel that comes with music. You can be talking to a fan, or a fan can be saying, hey, trying to get to know you and everything, and the next day you're 1,000 miles away. And so it's all wrapped up in that song. It's about being an artist and about writing, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek, I guess. Um, but then I forgot I wrote it.
You
I
forgot.
wrote it. I wrote it in that COVID
Okay.
period. I
Sure.
probably wrote 3 albums, to be
Wow.
honest. And I then late last year and early this year, I was contacted by a friend on the East Coast who plays and works with a guy called Karen Tolhurst.
Okay.
Now, people, when you say his name, they go, same as you. They sort of look up, oh, I've never heard of that guy before. But have you ever heard the Pat Benatar song, All Fired Up?
Of course.
He wrote that.
See, it's all the ghostwriters and the background people that aren't getting
Yeah.
enough credit that they need to be.
Yeah. I mean, here he's an ARIA Hall of Famer here. He's
Sure.
he was in a band, one of our very early exports to America, a band called Country Radio.
Okay.
One of their big hits was Gypsy Queen, stuff like that. And they were about to tour with around with people like Lynyrd Skynyrd and the Stones and stuff
Sure.
like that, right at the time that Skynyrd's plane went down.
Oh, wow.
And so that kind of put a dent in that band, like where they were headed. He lived in Nashville for a long time, and he ended up coming back here to Australia. He lives in Melbourne now. And he contacted me, and a song I released earlier in the year, which I didn't contact you guys about, a song called I Have Home.
Mm-hmm.
He was interested in recording it and producing it for me. So I learned to do it remotely. So I'm here in Western Australia and he's on the East Coast, and I do my parts here in a makeshift studio.
I mean, it looks like you're well stocked with guitars.
Oh, that's nothing.
What you got going on there?
That's nothing. This is where I play music out here. It's where I rehearse and write
Nice.
and all that sort of thing. So, but yeah, and so we got into that that first song, and we did that. And he had I gave him all of my demos and things that I'd written and all that sort of stuff. I just sent him a bunch of stuff. He came back to me with another song, and he said, "I really like this song. This we could make something happen with this." And so we tackled it, and basically we do it with this new world of, I think Billie Eilish showed us that, what you can do with a laptop and some microphones and that,
Seriously.
And, yeah.
It's
So
unbelievably impressive. The distance doesn't matter. It's all about, like obviously collaboration is huge and you've got a team behind you to help make this music. But half the equation also comes down to the production. And yeah, you have a computer, you can basically do it all.
Yeah. And look, I'm really a novice at it, but I know how to get it all going. You've got your stuff and your mics and everything like that.
Sure.
And I've sort of learned a fair bit actually. It's actually good for you as a musician too.
Yeah.
So I basically do my parts here. I send him the files. And then what we did with this song is we brought in session musicians, and we brought in the best of the best from over there on the East Coast. The guy that's playing fiddle on it has played with Jackson Browne.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a major standout for me. Well, first thing is I think the song is incredibly well-rounded. Like everything sticks out in its own. It's very well mixed. You can hear everyone at the perfect times.
Yeah.
Tons of amazing instrumentation, but it also tells a great story as well. And I actually want to go back to what you're talking about with your friend telling you he wanted a more upbeat song. Cool. I don't think that people realize that it just doesn't come that easy. You can't just make something upbeat for someone specifically. You are the one who's putting the time and the effort in here. It has to reflect the message. It has to reflect what you're feeling, and it's not that easy.
It's hard. It's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
To get that right, and you don't. Well, if you're a songwriter like me, the songs choose you. You don't choose them.
Yes.
I don't sit down in the morning and go, I'm going to write a song today.
No, if only it were that easy to do that. No.
Yeah. It's when something bugs you and it's in your ear and it keeps on going, and then eventually it annoys you enough to go, okay, you're coming out,
Right.
and maybe part of it comes out. Most of the time for me, I'll write a song in about a half hour.
Okay.
To it's probably not totally lyrically complete, but the bulk of the song generally I'll write them in about half an hour.
That's impressive in its own right. People spend months trying to nail down lyrics and get that going. So good for you.
Well, it can be a rabbit hole, and sometimes even recently because we've been recording constantly over the year, and so you might chase a word. It's just not the right word in there, and that may take months. But the basic song, they come for me fairly quickly.
Do you find that your process of actually making music has changed over the years, or does it just kind of happen when it happens?
It happens when it happens. I went through probably from 2019 or 2018, 2019, and through the last couple of years of COVID, up until the beginning of this year, I was writing prolifically, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. It was almost a burden in a sense because there was just so much music trying to come out. And then this year, with I didn't consciously do it, but I think my mind said, okay, enough's enough. You're recording some songs here. We've basically been recording some stuff to put an EP together.
Sure.
And so, I just haven't been writing as much. I think I've written 2 songs this year, as opposed to, the couple of years prior. There's at least 3 albums there. So, yeah.
You'll get around to it.
The process for me doesn't change,
No,
Yeah.
that completely makes sense. For someone who's been doing it a long time or not a long time, you kind of see what works for you and don't fix
Yeah.
it if it ain't broke.
And I learn a lot too, working with people like Kieran who have been around,
Sure.
in music since, the 60s. He's an older guy, an amazing musician. I mean, a lot of the beautiful slide and guitar work you hear on those songs is him in the background as well.
Incredible.
And, he's played with, everybody.
Sure.
And, I learn a lot. I'm so privileged to be able to learn from these guys. You pick up stuff and that sort of thing. So it's great.
Is there something that you look forward to the most when sort of embarking on a new song? Like the thing that makes it feel worth it in the end for putting all the hard work in?
I really, really look forward to the point where we can let somebody have a listen, and just to see that reaction. And it might be just one person who we go, okay, we want you to take a listen to this. And I've got a circle of trusted friends
Right.
around the country that I might send that off to and go, take a listen and tell me what you think. And some of them I know can be brutally honest. Like one in particular, she will, I always send it to her with trepidation because she'll either love it or hate it, And but
That makes sense. You can't have yes people around you. You can't just have someone that's going to say, "Oh yeah, that's great. Really, what? Yeah, good." No, like you need a real critique, someone who's going to be honest, and that actually kind of knows their stuff instead of just like a casual listener. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That
Super
could be
important.
the
Yeah.
biggest mistake for, especially for young musicians. And I see it where everybody stands around going, oh, you're so amazing. That was great. This.
Yeah.
And nobody says you could have worked on this, you could have worked on that, you could have done this a little bit.
They don't want to
You're not
hurt your
actually helping.
feelings.
No, that's right.
It might not even be out of them not knowing what to say. They just don't want to upset you in any way. Because there's a baseline level of respect of, well, this guy worked his ass off trying to make this song. I don't want to tell him otherwise.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that do the same for me, who are like, hey, what do you think? And I'm gonna be honest because you need that honesty, or else you're not gonna be better as a musician. So I understand.
You can't come to music with. I mean, generally musicians are very sort of in tune people and emotional people and that sort of thing. But the music business, as you well know, is brutal. So if you come to work with too many of your feelings that might get broken, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
you have to toughen up. And so you have to be able to take critique. If it's, and my opening line in particular with new people that I'm going to work with or anything like that, be it in any part of the industry, I always say to them, please be honest. And if I'm buying into my own garbage, you have to tell me.
I love that. You know what? It's the first thing that has to be said. So I'm glad you say it.
Yeah. It's too easy to think that, you've done something great. And you put all your heart and soul into it. So you kind of believe it, but have to be able to step back and go, okay, now the world can judge it,
Are you playing shows at this point? And if you aren't, is it something that you have in the works or on the way?
I have been working pretty hard right up until last month, or the beginning of this month. Actually,
Okay.
I had some bigger shows on, and all of this year has been a really busy year for me. Um, so I took a little bit of time out just with some of these recordings we've been doing. I deliberately stopped scheduling. I'm usually booked about 3 months in advance,
Yeah.
and it might have been a mistake because I've just let brand new music go, and I've got more new music to come.
Right.
And I actually, for the first time in years, apart from the COVID thing, I actually don't have. I've got a couple of distant things, but I really don't have any gigs lined up at the moment.
That's all
Um,
right. You'll get it going in the near future, maybe in the
yeah,
new year.
yeah. Well, we, like I said at the start, we're just coming into that better weather. Like,
Yeah.
people, I play a lot of outdoor stuff,
Sure.
that sort of thing. And so winter is, if people are out, they're tucked away in little restaurants and that.
Yeah.
So now things will fire up, from now on and into the year, which is going to, I need to, because I'm running out of money to record.
Yeah, there you go. You need to replenish the fund.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure.
I had a pretty good budget, at the start of this year, and I've been watching that get down to the point where the other day I said to Karen, we're going to have to stop soon because I need money to run the business as well.
Right, right. I
So,
understand.
but yeah, so yeah, nothing big in the works, but I am planning this next 12 months and onwards. I'm planning to get to a lot more festivals. Um,
Nice.
we've really had a resurgence in festivals here. I'm not sure you guys might be the same in the US now.
Oh, there's so many festivals. Like,
Yeah,
there's too many festivals to be
yeah.
perfectly honest. There's one
And
every
I think
weekend.
that's where we're heading. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, even in my state where I live, there's at least 5 new festivals that I know of. I didn't even know they were coming, so I couldn't even apply. I didn't know
right.
they were in the works.
It's
Um,
outrageous.
yeah, but I've got a fairly big one coming up in February. One of our for where the area that I'm in, fairly big country music festival, and it's generally our country music awards and that sort of
Okay.
thing that couple up with that. Uh, I'm pretty sure I'm in. I was a finalist. It took, the album Sleeping Rough that you reviewed, a couple of years ago
Yeah.
now. It's only this year that they finally announced those awards, that it was a finalist in for Independent Album of the Year because of
Way
COVID.
behind. Well, congratulations first off, but
Yeah.
also way behind. Where have people been?
Oh, they just kept cancelling everything.
Yeah, I
So,
figured, but yeah.
yeah. So anyway, we got through that, but I'm nominated in a few categories this year. I don't have an album, but I've got songs and singles and songwriter stuff and that. So,
Amazing.
I'm looking forward to getting out to that. I just played a mini sort of 1 day festival
Sure.
about an hour or so away from me. It was the last gig I played, which was great. Real good country sort of deal, and nice people. It was a bit cold, but
Yeah.
um,
You get over it.
yeah, and I was sort of like the number 2 headline act. So that,
Awesome.
unfortunately, that puts you on pretty late in the evening, but
That
um, you
too.
know, it was good. It's good fun. But yeah, I'm going to be working constantly, Austin, on more gigs. I want to get busy now for the
Totally.
rest of this year and into next year. I want to come to the US too. I,
Come on over.
oh man, it's killing me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I I was invited to come to Nashville just before COVID when I was actually recording the album.
Hmm.
Bill Chambers, that was producing and playing on the
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
a good friend. He was about to embark on a recording project in Nashville. His son lives there and runs a studio out of Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Why don't you come along? Come join us?" And I was like, "Oh, man, I can't fit it in." And
It's a
too
little
busy.
far.
Yeah, and then they invited me to Tamworth, which is on the East Coast, which is one of our biggest. It pretty much is our biggest country music event here in Australia, and like our Golden Guitar Awards and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
And I said, "No, look, I can't make it to that." And then COVID hit, and then like there's 2 years of everything getting cancelled, and
Nice.
so I'm hoping to get to Tamworth next year, early next year. I'm hoping possibly in the following 12 months or so, if an opportunity arrives, to head your way.
Please.
Definitely. definitely want to come.
Sounds it sounds like the next year is going to be incredibly busy, and while it may not be happening in the next week, plenty to look forward to in the next year, that is for sure.
I think so. It kind of feels like we're on the verge of. I mean, all these festivals and everything is it's kind of crazy, but
Sure.
at the same thing, it feels like people want music and they want to get out and they want
Yeah,
to.
agreed. They've never
Yeah.
wanted it
So
more. They've been deprived.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's been hard, but I I've had good reaction from this latest song,
of
and I'm
course.
so grateful that people in the US appreciate it because I'm inspired by American country. You can probably
Obviously, yeah.
um, and for me, I mean, you guys invented it. As far as I'm concerned, there'll be people in Australia who won't like me for saying that, but for me, you guys invented, playing guitar on the porch and picking and all that sort of stuff. It's
Pretty
American.
much.
I don't
Love
care what
that.
anyone says,
No, you're
and
right. You're right.
so I really
Um,
respect that. And my people that have influenced me, the John Prines and Guy Clarks and Steve Earls, and there's the guys that are Jason Isbell that I
oh,
love
he's
over
great.
there. I got to see him
Nice.
a
Yeah, he puts on an amazing show.
few years back. Yeah, I had to fly across the country to see him, but I did it.
Worth
Uh,
it.
and I, just have so many. There's another guy in the US, Jeffrey Folkolt. I'm not sure
Oh
if
yeah,
you're.
it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. I actually, on my album Sleeping Rough, I covered one of his songs.
Oh,
Yeah, Cheap Suit is a song of his actually.
nice.
Um, it's the only cover on the album, but we wanted to put a cover on. My friend Bill always says to me, you should send him a copy of it. Like, send,
You should.
and I'm too embarrassed. I'm like, because he
No,
plays it,
no.
he plays it really slow and sort of moody, and we took it and turned it into a line dancing song.
Yeah, but I think covers should never be the exact same song. They should always take their own liberties and do like what you did. Make it the opposite. Turn it into something fast if it's slow.
I definitely do that. I mean, I don't play when I do a show. It's usually about 3 45-minute sets,
Right.
and I might do 4 covers over that period.
Sure.
Um, and it'll be a Bob Dylan song, or it'll be a Tom Petty song, or a Jeffrey Folkolt song, or a Jason Isbell song, something like that, Steve Earle or whatever.
Love that.
They're my guys, that I like, but I don't try and copy them. I just try and give it my own spin and that sort of thing. That it
That's what it's
seems
all
to
about.
make sense to me. I mean, those guys, anybody, and I've said this to a lot of young artists too, is that don't play the song that's your favorite song, because generally the person who made it famous and everything, there's a reason they did it really, really well. And if you can't do it justice, well, you should pick the song that you can do justice.
I
And what's
agree.
your favorite?
I agree.
Yeah,
Ray, I've got one more question for you. And
sure.
basically the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
Wow, that's it. I knew you were going to ask me a hard question at some
There it
stage.
is.
Yeah, you got it. You guys always do this. Um, what I would like a listener to take from my message is take a listen and take from it what you will for yourself. Let the message, if the message is, if it speaks to your heart, um, then we're kindred. Like you've felt what I've felt, or whatever. And
Yeah,
and that's basically my whole motto for a listener is to. I'm not trying to tell you my whole story as such. If I'm writing about my experience, I'm writing about us. We're humans.
yeah.
We all have the same feelings. So, and hopefully I can make you feel good, even if it's a sad song. People say to me, because I play a lot of sad songs, and people say to me, "What's the deal with that?" Um, and for me, sad songs can be healing. Um, it's a way of acknowledging those feelings and going, it's okay to feel bad, and let music help you through it. So that's really what my message to a listener would be. Take a real deep listen and then take from it what you will,
I like that. I think that's a great answer.
yeah,
Um,
and then go buy the music.
yeah, that too. Don't forget that. Ray, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Please let me plug your music for you one more time. The song is called Another Song, and we will have links in the article so that people can listen and share and follow along and do all that fun stuff. But I also say it sounds like there's a lot more coming in the next year, so stay tuned for it. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to whatever gets shared. And this was great. I want to thank you so much again.
Thanks so much, Austin. I mean, it's taken a while for us to actually get to talk.
That's okay. Better late than
You,
never.
you guys have been great to me, and I can't wait for you to hear the next song.
Yes.
It's gonna blow your top. I'll tell you now. This was only the beginning. The next one is, the only way I can describe it is, my description of it is country meets Motown. It's
Love it.
it's cool, and we love it. We think it's the biggest song I've made so far. It's a kind of a long song, it pushes around the 4 minute
Sure.
mark. Um, but the Eagles got away with it, and I love the Eagles, so you know.
Love that.
um, yeah. So look,
Perfect.
thanks so much, man. I really appreciate your
You're
time
very welcome.
and your support, and
Always,
The
always.
US listeners. Like, I love you all. It's just
Yes.
awesome.
Awesome. Thank you again, Ray. Have an amazing rest of your day. Let's talk soon.
Thanks, Austin.
All right. Bye bye.
Cheers.